What's up guys, Jim from unityofnoise.com here. Just continuing down the creating builds series. This is tutorial number 2. And what we're going to do today is take this sound and then we're going to turn it into this. So yeah, let's get right into it. So first of all, I've just got a whole bunch of different effects here. We're going to use each one of these. I have them grouped together, but it's just for the sake of the tutorial. You don't need to do that. Right off the bat, we're going to throw in a saturator. Saturators tend to add a little bit of a distortion to the signal and helps it get just a little bit of like a grittier type of sound. So we're going to set the saturator on medium curve, and then we will turn the dry wet all the way down, and we'll dial it into our liking. Right around 100%, it gets a little too gritty. There's a bit of distortion up at the top, and if you're listening on headphones closely, you can hear that. Doing things like this is sound design. It's all in your personal taste. So just do it to where you think it sounds good and run with it from there. Next up, we'll throw on a phaser. This is going to add a little space to the sound, get a little bit wider of a signal. So let's take a listen to that. Yeah, so I think with the phaser, what we're going to do is keep the frequency right around 200. And then what we will do is basically just start it at 200 and roll it up. And that'll just help the sound move a little bit more. So in order to do that automation, we make sure that our MIDI note is selected. Then we go down to the phaser and we click on frequency, which makes our envelope line here adjustable. Because our MIDI note is selected, we get a section of the automation line that we can click and drag up entirely all at the same time. This makes this process very easy because you can click and drag the whole section up and then just kill the breakpoint on the left-hand side by clicking on it. Now this will automate from right around our 200 hertz where we had it set up to 100%, which is about 18.5 kilohertz. But we don't necessarily want it to go that high. I'm going to adjust this down as I listen to it just for taste. So here we go. Yeah, so that's good. So it's going from 210 up to 3.41. Now what we want to do is we're going to add in a flanger. Again, flangers are going to create space and movement and just help make this sound a little more interesting. And we'll just turn this on and have a listen. So with a flanger, what I like to do is move this ball around. This ball basically represents delay time and feedback at the same time. As you're moving it up and down, you're getting the feedback, and as you're moving it left and right, you're getting the delay time. So this will allow us to kind of hear everything as a whole. So with this, I like the delay time where it was, and then I was basically just using the feedback to move it up and down. So we'll just automate that. So once again, select our MIDI note, click on feedback on the flanger, then we can drag our automation line all the way up, click the left breakpoint to kill it, and then have a listen to how that sounds. And that sounds cool. It's definitely got a nice big build. It definitely sweeps up and it'll give us some more tension for our drop. Next up, we're going to add an auto pan. An auto pan is going to add some cool left and right effects. So what we're going to do here is we're going to automate the amount and we're going to automate the rate. So as the sound builds, it'll get heavier and heavier left and right, and then the rate of the left and right panning will get faster and faster. Let's start the amount at about 20%, and then we'll have it go up to 100%. So again, click the MIDI note, click on amount, drag your automation line up, kill the left breakpoint, and we have this. So as you could hear at the end there, it was getting super hard panned left and right. I'm going to make this breakpoint just at the end of the chord, so we make sure when the end of the chord hits, it's going as hard as it can left and right. Now let's automate the rate. So select our MIDI note, click on rate. We're going to drag this up, and we're going to drag our automation line up, kill the left breakpoint. Now with this, I don't want it to go 100%. When you get to 100% with the panning left and right on the rate, it gets going so fast that it kind of loses a little bit. So I don't like it to go to 100%. So we'll have a listen to how this sounds, and I'll adjust as we go. Yeah, that sounds good. So next up, what we want to do is we want to have the sound come in a little less abrupt. So if we listen to how the sound is coming in with the rest of the track. So it's just got a bit of a harsh introduction to the breakdown right there. So we're going to have the high pass filter allow the sound to come in to create a little bit more of a smooth transition. So go down here to filter frequency and set it around 150 and have a listen to how that sounds as it's coming in. Yeah, that sounds good. So there's low end in there, but it's definitely going to come up nice and drastically. So let's automate that filter frequency. Same thing, MIDI note, click on frequency, click and drag our automation line up, kill that left breakpoint, and have a listen. Yeah, it sounds cool. So next up, what we want to do is we want to add a low pass filter. And we want to remove some of the low end. As it's building up, it'll sweep and give us a more dramatic sound. So we have our auto filter on there. We're going to set it on low pass. Then we click on frequency, and I'm going to set it around 100. So it's just taking out a bit of the low end. And then what we're going to do is have that frequency sweep up. And I'm not going to want this to go 100%. If we go with a low pass filter and we go to 100%, it's going to get rid of the sound entirely. And we don't want that. So we're only going to go up to maybe around 2 kilohertz or so. So right now, I pulled it up to about 3.6. We'll kill this left breakpoint and then just drag the right one down to somewhere around 2. And this, again, is personal taste. Do what you think sounds good. Don't follow my instruction exactly if you don't want to. It's completely okay. Want to take a listen to how this sounds? That sounds pretty good, but I'm still going to take it down to maybe around like 900 hertz or so. I want to keep the low end in there a bit. I don't want to get rid of it 100%. So down there about 900 hertz or so should work great. And then what we want to do is we actually want to automate the resolution. Now, as it's sweeping up, you can take a listen. I'll turn up the resolution and you can hear what it's going to do to the signal. It's actually going to create this little like kind of harsher, more dramatic sweep as it's going. Have a listen. So what we want to do is actually have the resolution sweep up with the rest of the signal. I'm going to start at about 25%. So I'll set the resolution around 25%, click on our MIDI note, click resolution, and then pull up our automation line. Now, again, we don't want this to go up to 100%, or in this case, 125%. It's going to get way too high and really, really harsh. So we'll adjust this to taste as it's going. Here we go. Okay, so I was adjusting it all the way in the end over here, but I put another breakpoint in, and you can see it's about 90%. And I do this so the tail will be nice and clean, so when we resample the sound, we can cut it off right where the chord ends and allow our sample to come in right before our drop. So let's listen to the final sound here. We'll turn it on with everything.
Let me come again.
Yeah, sounds great. All right, so next up, we just want to resample this sound. So the idea here is to cut the sample off right where that vocal sample comes in, and that way there's silence there, creating more tension between the buildup and the actual drop. So what I tend to do is basically just freeze this track. So if you right-click on the track, you can go down to freeze. Then you can put a new audio track underneath it by hitting Command-T, or go to your menu and hit Create, Insert Audio Track. And then all you need to do is just select the area that you want to come down to your audio track, highlight it, hold Option on your keyboard, click and drag it down. And there you go. So one thing we could do with this is we could cut the beginning off using our fades. So if you go over to your audio track, underneath the main audio track name, in this case number 10 audio, there will be typically none. You can select that drop down menu and click on fades. Now you can fade this in, and it really helps make that transition between the song and the build section a lot smoother by doing that. The other thing we want to do is we want to cut this tail off. Now at the end right here, we have this, and we have this vocal sample that comes in. And we want to get rid of that little delay. So all we got to do is just select all of that and hit delete. Now when it comes in, it'll sound like this. And basically by doing that, by leaving more silence in that section where the vocals are and whatnot, it creates a bigger impact when the drop happens. So let's listen to it completely in context. Very cool. Well, I hope you guys learned something new today. Make sure you play around with this. Make sure you experiment with different types of effects for your builds and just have fun with it. There's not really a wrong way to do this. This is all in personal taste. Sound design is all about what you think sounds good and what's making your track sound better and or different from everybody else's stuff. Make sure you guys like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.